All right, everyone. Here we are again. It is your favorite show, is my favorite show. It is the flagship show of the JD Washington Network. It is From the Margins with my dear friend James Auffant. He is a leading attorney here in Central Florida. He is a father, a grandfather, a husband, and of course, my mentor. Jimmy, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Happy to hear that we're not committing war crimes. I think when you say you're going to kill civilians, that's a war crime. I mean, you could try to pretend later, well, I meant that. No, you're saying I'm going to eliminate a civilization. That is, you're saying I'm going to kill civilians. The same civilians that you're saying or said that you're fighting this war to liberate, which I've always found interesting, one way or the other. But let's get into what the ceasefire or no ceasefire.
Okay.
We know that the people from Israel say, well, it doesn't include Lebanon. To me, when you're in war, you in a ceasefire is nobody shooting, but in their mentality, they could continue shooting in Lebanon, and so they say, well, if you think you could continue doing that, the people in Iran are still collecting $2 million for boats that's going through the stretch. And by the way, it's kind of interesting that the objection of Donald J. Trump is not that they're collecting the 2 million, is that they're not sharing it with the United States. That is kind of interesting. But I think what Pakistan did is said, hey, let me give these people a way out. We're going to offer you a 2 week ceasefire and everybody ceasefire. And yeah, you're going to give me your points and you're going to give me your points. And we're going to try to work out things here and we'll see. Now, it's kind of interesting that nobody's reading the Iranian points of view, but it is what it is. And for those of you who say that there's a ceasefire because Donald J. Trump chickened out, that's not true. No.
Okay.
That's not true. He did not chicken out. You
Okay.
had the tackle right, but you had the word wrong.
Uh-oh.
Donald Trump cashed out. He made some money, and now he's good, and he doesn't care about the rest of it. Basically, it is a ceasefire. My concern about this ceasefire, is the article that came out in the front page of the New York Times on Wednesday.
Okay.
For those of you who do not know what I'm talking about, there's a leak, a major leak,
Okay.
from the White House, from a thing that was in the Situation Room. And we know
Yes.
that either Donald Trump leaked it, Netanyahu leaked it, Marco Rubio leaked it, or JD Vance leaked it, which basically is something that has Joe Kent, who quit, for those of you who
Mhm.
forget, he said this is the people from Israel pushing this war. They call them anti-Semite, they call them anti-Israel, all this. Now it's proven what he said. Netanyahu sat down in front of the United States and convinced Donald Trump that it would be a good idea. We're safe, we will bombard them to hell, and he will be a great hero and everything like that, and that it could be done in 6 weeks maximum. Now, at that same time, if the article is correct, and by the way, none of these people are saying that it's not true.
Okay.
None of them are saying, hey, that's no. JD Vance talked against it. He said it would affect him with his base because his base did not want any more foreign wars, which is true. MAGA does not want any more foreign wars. That's true. I like Marco Rubio called it bullshit. And I mean, those are like words. The general said to Donald J. Trump, hey, you have to take care with the people from Israel intelligence. They tend to exaggerate. And for the record, since 2016, he's been saying that they have nuclear weapons and they can bombard us tomorrow. And to this day, they still don't have it. But basically, this is what Netanyahu has done. He convinced Donald Trump to go into the war. As a matter of fact, the first thing that came out of his mouth, because he doesn't have a filter too much, if you all recall, was, "I wanted to go in before the Israel went in." That's what
That's
he said.
correct.
It's
That's
not,
what he said. Yes.
oh, Mr. Auffant is coming. No, no, no. He said that. Uh, why do I bring this up now? Well, I'm going to bring it up for a different reason. We have a ceasefire. Uh, can Netanyahu get on a plane from Israel, come back after 2 weeks, say, "Hey, we need to end this war. We need to bombard this. We need to eliminate all civilization there. We need to do," and convince him again to go into war? That is a concern. He did it the first time, so don't say he cannot do it the second time.
Mhm.
We do know that JD Vance went to Pakistan to negotiate a possible ceasefire and an agreement to settle this matter. And it's kind of strange that uh, there's really no guidelines from Donald J. Trump what is suitable. Uh, no nuclear weapon. We had that agreement and he broke it. So when they
Right.
say
He tore it up.
we continue, well, we'll start developing it. Uh, Money right now, what they've done is extremely smart. We cannot freeze their money. What they're doing, you're coming through the stretch, you buy my bitcoins and you go through. You're coming through, you buy my bitcoins, and 100 ships a day at $2 million a ship, that's $200 million a day. That's pretty good money. They're claiming they're going to use that money to reconstruct the infrastructure that we destroyed. That's their claim. And what they spend it on, I have no idea. But that is their
Mhm.
claim. Just like we claim that we wiped them out. It's kind of interesting because they still continue bombarding us. But uh, the ceasefire is very important. Look, right now, we do not want our soldiers to be charged with war criminals or anything like that. But this is
Right.
where I want to bring this to the conversation.
Okay.
Here's my question to you this week. Do you really believe that this ceasefire is a real ceasefire? Do you really believe that in 2 weeks will we be going back to war, or will we have settled this matter? That is my question of the week because I don't even know. I would like your feedback.
I,
Uh,
oh, go
you,
ahead, Jimmy.
yeah,
I want to give my feedback right now, and I, I, I think it's very important that JD Vance, our vice president, is leading the negotiation team with Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, who were negotiating before. I believe that the Iranian delegation thinks that they're bad faith actors. The Witkoff and Kushner team are bad faith actors because they were in the midst of negotiations and then the bombs dropped. So bringing the negotiations to the level of the vice president's office tells the Iranians that, hey, we're working in good faith. The United States is working in good faith. We're serious about ending this conflict. And particularly JD Vance, we all know, and you just said so yourself in this leaked war room conversation, that JD Vance, Vice President Vance, was the only one who was outright against any type of conflict with the Iranians, and he's always been no more forever wars. We're done with the forever wars. So having him at these negotiations does bring the seriousness level, in my opinion, to a much greater level. And therefore, the likelihood we would get a ceasefire that would stick and possibly a negotiated end to this conflict, permanent end to this conflict.
the question that we have to go over here: will Donald Trump accept what J.D. Vance negotiated? Will he not listen to the other people in his thing who are trying to push for Israel, which are the two other negotiators who we know are very much pro-Israel? And it's not that I have anything against them, but they are, and the Iranians saw that, and that's why they did not want to negotiate with them.
Mm-hmm.
And we do know from this thing, and this is the part: J.D. Vance spoke against it. And anyway, Donald Trump jumped in. So are they going to say, well, yeah, is Donald Trump going to follow through with whatever you negotiate with? And that's the unpredictability of Donald Trump, and I understand that. And I understand that some people like that. I don't. I like something that I could count on, that I know. But and especially when we're talking about war, you're going to say, well, yeah, but I changed my mind. That's not a good idea. But the question that I think a lot of people have in Europe and everything else, will JD Vance be able to negotiate something that Donald Trump will follow? And that's a good question. It is.
I
Because he doesn't have the power on his own to do it. That's what I'm
right.
trying to
I
say.
I think he will be able to because of the bigger picture. One, we have the midterms in November. Donald Trump needs this war to be done and over with. Period. By August, by September, theoretically, but definitely by August, preferably before the 4th of July, for obvious reasons. Second, second, this establishes if the negotiations are successful, this establishes that JD Vance will be the Republican nominee, the heir apparent to the MAGA agenda. And it will check off one of the major boxes for the MAGA following about ending these forever wars. After this, we're done. We're done with these major conflicts.
So
Ukraine and Russia.
the reverse of what you're saying is if he's not capable of working out something with Iran and Israel, who's the other part here that we don't want to discuss it, but the other part in the war is that war three is Israel, is Iran, and is the U.S. If he's not able to do so, his days as the MAGA leader are counted.
Oh, Israel, if they want to continue their hostilities, that is in direct opposition to a negotiated ceasefire and end to this conflict, then the Bibi Netanyahu government, not the Israeli people, but the Bibi Netanyahu government are on their own. And I don't think that the Israeli people are going to go for that. And as a matter of fact, I know that there's eternal issues for Bibi in Israel. And he's facing whatever charges or accusations in regards to, whatever political misbehavior, whatever. But the government itself, if they want to continue bombing Lebanon, if they want to go after other assets in Iran, they'll be on their own. And I don't think they will want to do that. Much to the chagrin of Bibi, I'm sure they'll love a more pronounced conflict war with Iran, but it's not their decision. It's not,
Well,
particularly after
I understand where you're coming from.
ceasefire.
Let me put it in a different perspective.
Mhm.
Nobody, nobody is really against us leaving Afghanistan. It was how we left Afghanistan that became the real issue.
I I I'll have to disagree. I really found no reason why we were in Afghanistan to begin with after 9/11.
Well, and I agree, but the objection that they had with ending the war in Afghanistan was not the ending of it; it's how it was ended. The people that was left behind stranded, and that they felt that they didn't do a good job of ending it.
Sure.
Not that they were against it being ended. Everybody
Mhm.
was in favor of it being. So there's two parts of this. It's not that the ceasefire or the agreement, but how would the people see this? Like, for example, if the stress is still closed, how will people react in the United States? If Iran still keeps its nuclear, its enriched uranium, how would the people here? So what I'm trying to say, like they say back in the South, here in the South, the devil's in the details. So it's not
Correct.
only ceasing it, but how do we stop this war? How do we go forward? How do we look? Because right now, my opinion, my opinion, we have become the laughing stock of the world. We have
Okay.
went into a war that we had no business in. We chose to go into that war with Israel, and basically, other than killing civilians and taking out certain things, we we have not accomplished anything. And as soon as a way out was given to the president, he took it. Look, right now, having respect for our country has become having the disrespect they have for Trump. And that concerns me because I think they should separate, but the world is seeing our country as Trump. And that's something that is not good. So the devil's going to be in the detail as how he ends the war. And hopefully that does not initiate in between. And by the way, he might want to stop doing all these things. He's still talking about Cuba. If he finishes the war in Iran in July and starts a war in Cuba in August, he could count the primaries bye-bye.
Right. I don't think we're going to war with Cuba. That'll be kicking them while they're down. I think Cuba is just going to continue, eroding, and eventually the people are going to say, "Okay, we've had enough." And I truly believe
I've
that
been
we're
hearing that
negotiating with Cuba.
since I was a kid.
They're in much dire straits now. They have one tanker full of oil that has been able to pass
Oh, and others
the
coming.
blockade.
And
Others
others
started
coming.
coming. Oh,
Oh,
good.
Russia is selling. They're making money.
That's right. Yeah.
The embargo's over.
Yeah.
Let's not count. Let's not count that out. Russia's going to make as much money as it can so it can continue its war with Ukraine. So no.
Yes. Yes.
If you think that's the only one coming in, no, there's others. And look, what Russia did was, let me try. Oh, they didn't stop me. Here comes the next one. It's like when you push somebody and they don't push you back, you think, well, I can get away with it. As far as the Russians are concerned, they were not even threatened.
True.
They just drove their ship in. Here's the petroleum that you need, Cuba, and here's coming another one, and here's coming another one, and we're good. Look, Cuba did not refuse to buy petroleum. They were paying it from Mexico, and they were paying it from Venezuela. With all due
Right.
respect, it was not that they got it as a gift. They were paying for it. Well, Russia said, okay, you don't want it to come from Venezuela. You don't want it to come from Mexico. It'll come from me. Stop me if you dare. And they didn't dare. It was, to me, it was the old I dare you. And guess who won that one? Russia. So yeah, it's going to be. I do not have too much faith that the war will resume. I think that
Okay.
as unpredictable that Donald Trump is, and has easily influenced as he is, because if what it was reported in the New York Times is true, I think Netanyahu sold him a bag of bullshit, and he bought it, and he ate it like there was no tomorrow.
I think it's the other way around, but I don't think Israel has that. Let me put it this way: I don't think Bibi Netanyahu has that much influence over Trump as people think he does.
Oh, he does, and let me tell you how.
Okay.
It's not that he fears him like he fears Putin. Putin he fears. That's under. I don't know why, but he does. Netanyahu knows how to deal with him. He knows how to manipulate him. You're a great guy. You're a great American. We named streets in Israel after you. This is going to be your great legacy. This is going to be something simple, and you're going to get millions of votes. That's why at the end, Rubio told him he's bullshitting you. And he did bullshit him, and he did it. Look, say he doesn't have influence. The war in Iran was not Trump's idea.
Hmm.
That we all know. We all know. And there's two other people that influence him that we don't want to talk about because
Okay.
it's not his son-in-law is very pro-Israel and is very pro-Netanyahu. No
Okay.
secret, okay. And so is his counterpart, negotiator par excellence, that also was the ones who said, hey, you could take them right now. Look, they were negotiating. They knew or had to know what was coming. And they are very influential in Donald Trump. But we
Okay.
do know that there was a meeting, and we do know that Netanyahu sold him a bag of shit and he bought it. I'm sorry. He bought it. I mean, when the general tone, look, you have to be careful with the Israelis. They tend to exaggerate. They do. When Marco Rubio used two words, that's bullshit.
Hmm.
But he said, screw you, Marco. I'm going to go with this guy.
Okay.
And let's not end. JD Vance, the person that we're talking about, is the next thing. Blah, blah. He sat there and he talked directly against that war. And Trump said, fuck you, I'm going in. The only person there in that room pushing that war was Netanyahu. So I can't say that he listened to JD Vance because he got into the war. Can't say he listened to Marco Rubio because he went to the war. Can't say he listened to the general because he went to Wills. His chief of staff said, I don't get in matters of war, you decide. I don't care. Which was kind of a chicken way out, but that's fine.
Hmm.
The only person in that room recommending going to war was Netanyahu.
Hmm.
So to say that he doesn't have any influence or doesn't listen to him, look, we do know how to manipulate Donald Trump. And it was taught to us by the people in North Korea. He sent them a love letter. And all of a sudden, he backed off from all the bad things he was saying about him. And he called him a great president, a great human being, all this. That was it. So at this point, it's a matter of manipulating him. And apparently, from what I can gather, it's kind of easy. It really is.
And it's funny that you bring up North Korea in all of this. North Korea depends on Iranian oil, just as China does. Um, However, the difference why we're not at the front door of North Korea is because uh, North Korea has nuclear arms. They have
They really do.
and
The same as Israel.
right, and so there's really, I mean, what do we do with North Korea? We just leave them alone, let them do their thing, and let them continue to isolate themselves. That's the problem. The goal in Iran was to for once completely end the ability to enrich uranium and have that threat hanging over our heads for another 47 years. And that's one of the reasons why I support the war. I think eliminating the possibility to enrich uranium is just one of several major goals. I think also decapitating Iran's ability to fund all these terrorist activities, illicit drug trade, and human trafficking around the world, decapitate it. Decapitate their ability to do that.
You see, that's why people call most news fake news. Look, I have no doubt that they are not a nice people, but what they won't tell you
Easy.
is how dumb we were. The one person who thought that it was not a good idea and forbid for most of the time the development of nuclear weapons was the Ayatollah. Religious reasons, I understand. I understand. He believed that that was forbidden by the Quran. I understand.
Sure.
Okay, I understand. The truth of the matter, then, 4 7 years, this is the closest they came, and we don't want to say this because fake news won't tell you this, but I'll tell you this. The reason they were developing it is called Donald J. Trump, who in 2017 said, fuck you, I'm breaking the uh, nuclear agreement that we have with you, and I don't want anything to do with it. How did that benefit the United States? No way. It didn't. As long as that agreement was in part, the international nuclear people went down there and they were ensuring everybody that it was only used for energy purposes. We all know that. But when Donald Trump said, fuck you, I want nothing to do with you guys, I'm breaking this treaty, the Iranians had no obligation. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
You know what? Okay, the treaty is broken. So what we promised not to do, we're no longer bound by it. So
Mhm.
yes, we did it. So to say that it's all Iran is not true. Part of it was our screw up. Once we told them, hey, we're breaking this, we have nothing to do with this, we're not going to deal. Okay, well, fine. They were no longer bound to not develop it. Okay, so did they? Yes, but while they were under that agreement, did they? No. So to say that it's all them, okay, are they developing uh, uh, other weapons? Yes. Look, this is a religious war. For those of you who do not know it, between the Syrians and there's two divisions of the Muslims, and they fight among themselves. We know that.
Mhm.
Okay, fine. Uh, do they make their women dress up in strange ways in Iran? Yeah. Go to Saudi Arabia, go to Kuwait, go to Bahrain, and you're going to find the same thing. But those are U.S. allies, so we're cool with them doing it. We're not cool with you. The truth of the matter is, basically, at this point, you could try to go in there and remove what there is. My concern is that China and Russia will just sell Iran more uranium. It's as simple as that. As a matter of fact, if you want to be historical, North Korea has offered to sell them nuclear weapons. It's on the record. It's not,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
can we be there the whole time, have soldiers there 24/7 for the rest of our life, and have forever wars again? Uh, I don't see it. I don't see the American people supporting that. So it's going to be a thing of, let's do this time an agreement that we could verify and that we could do it. Now, the people that we killed, and there's a regime change, yeah. Are they more liberal? Hell no.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, let me put it this way. I like the way Ayatollah said, they killed my father, my wife, and my kids.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking that he's going to be nice to us, yeah, good luck. Look,
You should
at,
negotiate with
at
us.
this point, we had to work out something that we could live with. But the longer this goes through, you have to understand that Iran right now is making $200 million a day. Put that in 14 days, you do the math.
Mhm.
And even if the ceasefire, what Trump wants is, hey, 1 million for you, 1 million for me. It's not that you're going to let it go free. But it is, and this one came out of his mouth, half for us. So it's not. And even if they get $100 million a day, that's a lot of cash.
Sure.
So, it, because we got pissed off because Obama sent them 80, uh,
A ton of their own money.
a ton of their own money. And now we're going to let them get money from other people. Look, it is what it is. But I'm going to see how interesting the American people are going to be. And this is the other thing. Still, the prices of gas have not come down at all. It's, oh, well, they were 429. Now they're 411. Still, it's a lot of money. Okay?
Significant. Yeah.
And that's here in Florida. And the northern states and in some other places where the transportation of gasoline is longer, it's even more expensive. So
Mhm.
you have to find out a way around this. And like I'm going to say today, the devil is in the details. Because one of the things that they sold us, oh, we're trying to take away the nuclear weapons. That wasn't the first thing. First thing was regime change. We wanted to outdo the Israel. We've heard more reasons why we're in this war than girlfriends that Donald J. Trump has had during his life. So it is an interesting way of looking at this. So it's really something that I want to see the details once we claim that we worked it out. Look,
Sure.
uh, I'm not so sure that everybody's going to be happy with it, and particularly Netanyahu, because once the war ends, there's going to be an election in Israel,
Mhm.
and he's going to lose. And for those of you who still think that if he ends the war a couple of weeks before the primaries in August, that's going to make a difference, you don't understand politics. The people are too pissed off. The fact that he ends the war and prices start coming back a little cheaper, it's not good. It's not going to make people happy at all.
Mhm.
And God permit that we do not continue any of the things that he wants to do, because if he cuts Medicare and Medicaid to pay for the war, oh God, I don't care how he settles it. It's
Mhm.
done. So at this point, it's going to be interesting to do.
Mhm. I,
So,
I think with one last thing in regards to the objectives of this war, the national security strategy. It is a callback to the Monroe Doctrine, the Trump corollary that's included in this strategy. It's just pretty much saying that the United States is going to take care of its own backyard, from Greenland all the way down to Chile, and this war plays into that strategy because, again, I'll go back to what I was saying earlier about the Iranian regime's support for terrorism across the globe, its support for the illicit drug trade and human trafficking, and how they benefit from it, and how the Ayatollah has benefited from it. The current one, I believe, has $100 million worth of property in London alone. So, you know, someone's profiting from the regime, the Iranian regime. So that's one of the premises that I look at that justify why we're doing what we're doing in Iran, and that's because it is in the best interest of the greater North America, the national security strategy, and just making sure that we are taking care of our own here in America. In
so
North
when
America.
are we going to invade Russia? When are we going to invade China? When are we going to invade North Korea?
No,
Because they're doing the
they
same.
got you're
No, no,
right.
no.
They got their sphere of influence. China, Russia,
Yeah, they're
you
doing
got to
the
put
same.
it there.
So look, if you're going to say I turned off this a little bit of the fire, so that's going to make us safer, you're selling me a bag of bullshit. I have to agree. God damn it, I'm agreeing with Rubio right now. That's bullshit.
Hmm.
It is. The same thing that's going to benefit us. How? Were they attacking us? No. Uh,
Not in a traditional way. If they're funding,
yeah, but Russia has been
the
attacking us
Hamas and
cybernet.
Hezbollah, Hamas did attack Americans on October 7th. They
It
are
attacked. You
training.
know what? You're right. It attacked Americans who are in Israel on October 7th. I would agree with that.
Sure.
10, I think 10 or 15. I agree with that. Not a problem. But does that justify, after you liquidated Hezbollah in Gaza and you killed hundreds of thousands of people of Gaza who had nothing to do with the war? Okay, let's call it as it is. Does that still justify going to Iran? No.
Yes. Yes, I have to disagree. 47 years of terror, state sponsor Iranian regime terror,
To whom?
justified to Americans and the rest of the world.
Okay, let me ask you then this question. How have they inspired terror to Americans? Because I understand Israel, and I understand the people of who were there, who have most of them had dual citizenship, which is illegal. I'm not saying it isn't. So, how have they inferred terror in the United States? Now I'm going to talk Iran. I'm not going to talk Iran and Hezbollah or that. That's over there in Africa. I mean, in our land.
However, they were state supported by the Iranian regime, the Houthis, the Hamas,
But that's and
ISIS.
again, that's in
But they
Africa. I'm talking
but
how it's
they
affecting us.
are they are materially supported by the Iranian
I
regime.
agree,
There's no
but you
doubt
have to
about that.
agree. You have to agree that's in Africa. I'm asking, how has Iran attacked anything in the United States? And the answer to that is no.
Yes,
Okay,
that's true.
that's what I'm trying
Just,
to get to.
just
I hear
right
you.
in
I'm not
America.
going to argue
That's true.
that they've
That's
helped the
true.
people in Lebanon, Syria, and that I will accept 100%. And for the record, if you're going to say people have attacked the United States, I still will never forgive Saudi Arabia.
However, Saudi Arabia did not sponsor those individuals who attacked us on 9/11. That was a Osama bin Laden operation, okay? And and
All the funds that they use came from Saudi Arabia.
the ruling government of Saudi Arabia. I
Could
think
I
there's a
say this?
difference.
Can I say this with all due respect to everybody? Saudi Arabia is also a very well controlled government by a monarchy in which there's not that many, there's no liberties. Let's call it out. There is no liberties. Whatever the king or prince say goes. And even there's police in the streets that if they're not allow a woman to drive. Okay, let's call it as it is. Because we like to say one thing, I'm not defending Iran, but I find it interesting that Saudi Arabia, look, there was millions coming out of the banks of Saudi Arabia, approved by people who are in the government, okay, who are in the government. It's like the newspaper person that was killed in the Saudi Arabia embassy, but that was not the prince. That was people who were in a government building, and killed the newspaper reporter from the New York Post, Washington Post, excuse me. So
Yes.
what? So when we're going to say this, I agree. Look, there's a big war between all the Arab countries with Israel and against Israel, and Egypt once invaded Israel many years ago. So did Jordan, and so on. So I understand there is a war, and it's a religious war. I understand that, and they're both acting wrong. I understand that, but from that to transfer that, it puts us directly in danger. That's what I would call, in pure English, a little bit of a stretch. Are they bad people? Definitely. I'm not going to defend them. But to say that they have done something to the United States of America directly, with all due respect, they're not that dumb. They know
Mhm.
who they can attack,
Sure.
is what I'm trying to get to. But for me to believe that all these people from Saudi Arabia came over here, were being trained, were receiving money in the millions and millions of dollars uh, every week for over 9 months from Saudi Arabia banks, and that nobody in Saudi Arabia had an idea what was going on, that's fine if you want to
I,
say.
I haven't seen the direct link between the Saudi monarchy and the 9/11 hijackers. I just haven't seen that. I haven't
Well,
seen a direct link.
and to be honest, you're right. And with all due respect, I'm going to say it a different way. The press has reported that Iran sponsors all these things. I've
Uh-huh.
never seen any link either that the Ayatollah was directly involved or the government. We know that there was government officials who were helping out,
Right.
yes, but you know, the thing is this: I'm not going to defend Iran. I can't. They were bad people. But when it comes to people telling me that they were a direct threat to the United States and they did something specifically, I just ask, what? And the answer is, well, they did this. Oh, yeah, I'm not denying. They helped Hezbollah, they help the Houthis, they help all those. But those are people in Africa who are fighting Israel, which is our friend and our colleague, and I understand that. But to put that as it's an attack to us, that's where I think the people from MAGA, like Megan Kelly, like Tucker
Oh
Carlson,
yeah.
like all those other Jones, hey, these were the people who now they're calling crazy, but when they were helping Donald Trump, and saying things bad about Biden, they were brilliant, intelligent, and correct people. So you can't have it both ways. These were the people who called our past President Biden Brandon, okay? And they criticized him for all the bad things they said he did.
Right.
And they were brilliant, and they were MAGA people, and they were true Republicans, and they were true patriots. Now they're criticizing Donald Trump. Now they're crazy. Okay? You can't have it both ways, okay?
Right.
And to say that everything in MAGA is fine, look, JD Vance, Vice President of the United States, a MAGA person that you think will become the MAGA person leader, was against this war.
Yes.
We can't change that. That's a fact of life.
That's correct.
So to say, and I'm going to go a step further, to say that everybody, the U.S. government, was in favor of this war is bullshit. Because we know that Marco wasn't in favor. We know that the generals are not in favor. We know that JD Vance was not in favor. We know that Mrs. Wiles was not in favor. So basically, another person in favor was Donald J. Trump. So that's the other things that I think we need to look at. Realistically, I do not see this country really committed to this war. Why? 3 factors. 1, it's never really been explained why we're doing this. 2, most Americans before this day did not feel threatened by Iran. They didn't. They really didn't. And 3, do you know why we supported Afghanistan and Iraq? Do you have any idea why?
Why we supported Afghanistan and Iraq?
The invasion of both of them. Why do we?
Invaded. We were chasing after Osama bin Laden in Afghanistan. That's where he was before he slipped through Tora Bora. And as far as going into Iraq, that was
nobody knows.
Exactly. I was against that war. There was no sense in going into Iraq. That's Osama bin Laden was not there, and I believe the Bush administration saw an opportunity for land grab, or oil grab, and that's what that was all about.
Well, yes, but you know why people supported that war?
Why?
The towers. It happened right after the towers. We were attacked. That's the whole problem that I'm trying to bring to everybody. You could talk about whatever you want, that if you don't have proof that the Saudis are but the proof that you do have that everybody who participated in the towers came from Saudi Arabia. Not one was from Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Not one was from Iraq. Okay? As a matter of fact, not one was from Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
Each and every one was from Saudi Arabia. They attacked us. You want to talk about 1,000 in Israel? They killed more than 4,000 in New York. Okay? So when the president said, we got to go to war, everybody was behind it because we were attacked. That's the third reason. We were not attacked.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We were not attacked.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we were never explained why we went in there. Nobody was afraid of Iran. And 3, they didn't attack us. Saudi Arabia people attacked us.
The homeland.
And that's why when people don't compare, no, we were attacked. Mm-hmm. That is a war. That's what happened in Pearl Harbor. We were attacked. We responded. Okay?
Our homeland.
Korea was not simpatico because we were not attacked by Korea.
Right, I understand that one.
Vietnam, we were not attacked.
That's right.
Okay? So basically, Americans, we respond differently. We're attacked, we're going to take you down.
Mm-hmm.
We're not attacked. Why? Convince me. And I don't think that the Trump administration has done a good job of convincing the American public why we did what we did in Iran. Okay. And it's as simple as that. People are not, as a matter of fact, they're more, and this is something that is more controversial. American people did not care what Israel was doing in Gaza because it didn't affect them directly.
True.
So what I'm trying to say is, look, after the Twin Towers, we would have gone to war if you convinced us. Look, they told us there was weapons of mass destruction, and there was some allegations that they had attacked us, that they were part of it. When we found out later that they had nothing to do with it, and there was no weapons of mass destruction, You know how the American people reacted to that. So I don't see the support for that for Iran at all. Yeah, there's some people who are supporting it. I'm not gonna say no, but we have to agree it's not the majority of the American people. And again, like we
I
like
could
to
say
say in this program, it's all about the economy, stupid. And gasoline at 4.25 and 4.30 a
yeah.
gallon, not gonna help your reelection
Mhm.
at all. So you wanted to discuss the Florida Save Act.
Yes, there's a lot of conversation before the Senate recess for the spring break about passing the SAVE Act or the Save America Act, and it's essentially the majority of that act at the federal level is in regards to voter protection, as the Republicans would say, and it's stalled.
Yeah, that's the
Well,
bullshit they're selling us. Yeah.
right. And however, in Florida, DeSantis recently signed a bill making it law for their version, the Florida's version of the SAVE Act. And I'm kind of perplexed about some of the provisions because it's something, I guess it guarantees that there are paper ballots as a paper trail. And there's other aspects of the bill, the law, like you have to show ID to show that you are the actual person who's voting. But one of the stipulations that went into effect April 1st is the fact that candidates will now have to proclaim their whether or not they have citizenship in another country. And I found that very conspicuous. I was like, wow. And the rationale is, uh, and just the bottom line is, okay, are you in the best interest of America as a person who has citizenship both here in America and or in another country? I get it. I get it.
I don't.
Okay.
First of all, you and I have worked campaigns.
Yes.
You and I were at the 2016 election at the office of the supervisor of election and was called a recount.
Yes.
Right? Did they have paper ballots?
Yes.
In
Yes.
2000, yeah, they did. And we were
Yes.
going over those that were questionable. Okay. If they had marked them or not, how they had marked them. We had the paper ballots. Paper ballots have been in effect since the 2000 when they had the fiasco with the election here and Gore and Bush. Okay. So we've had them. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? We've always had them. When you voted in 2016, did you have to show ID? Yes.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So what's new about this showing ID? Now, the one that's interesting is what you said 10 minutes ago. You said that the Hezbollah killed American citizens.
Yes.
80% of those American citizens had dual citizenship. They were citizens of Israel and they were citizens of the United States. So, if somebody in South Florida wants to run for office and they're a citizen of Israel, is this something that should be a matter that we're going to debate in a debate? And by the way, if you read the SAFE Act, you have to declare. It doesn't make you that you cannot run.
Right. That's correct.
Okay, so I am a citizen of Israel and I'm a citizen of the United States. Okay, let me clarify something for you for international law that most people do not know. When you become a U.S. citizen,
Mhm.
that does not mean that you lose your citizenship of where you were born. You don't.
That's correct.
So if you're Canadian, which now Trump hates the Canadians, and so the Republicans, they hate Canadians. Okay, I moved here, I became a U.S. citizen, but I'm still a citizen of Canada. I'm still a citizen of Great Britain, but I'm a citizen of the United States. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? I'm just asking this question because I don't know the answer. I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm just saying, what the fuck does it have to do? Because realistically, I don't understand it. So you're a citizen of Israel. So you're a citizen of Canada. So you're a citizen of Great Britain. Oh, wait a minute. I got it. I figured it out. You're also a citizen of Mexico. You're still a citizen of Guatemala. You're still a citizen of Venezuela. You're still a citizen of Colombia. So now I have to spread out the word that I'm Hispanic.
I don't know. I don't know about that, Jimmy. I mean, you can look at the person or look
No,
at
no.
the surname.
Now I had. Okay, and let me put it this way: a lot of people hate people from the United States. Okay, so let's say I became a U.S. citizen, and I'm a citizen also of Colombia, Venezuela, which a lot of Americans don't like. Are they going to use that against you? Or I'm going to make it more interesting because I do know 4 people who came here from Russia who became U.S. citizens, but they're still Russian citizens. Is that going to be something that's going to help them in an election? Look, again, I'm not being facetious, but I'm not sure why this is. Because you're not making it illegal. You just say, you have to tell us that you're a citizen from another country.
Right.
Well, why don't you pass a law that says that you also have to tell me if any of your relatives have ever been convicted of a crime? Oh, that sounds absurd. And so does it that I have to announce that I'm a citizen from another country. Don't see, other than the other candidate is going to use it against the other one. You see, he's not loyal to us. He's loyal to his other country.
Exactly. I think that's the point of this particular mandate.
But
And
how does that help us?
what's that?
How
How
does
does that
that
help?
help? It
Well,
doesn't.
I'll take one of the loudest members of the squad, the what do they call themselves, the squad in Washington D.C. Representative Ilhan Omar in Minnesota. She will go to bat for Somalia before she will go to bat for the United States of America.
Well,
And
she's never said that, but I know that Fox News has said that. But she's never
no,
said
I've looked at and listened to her own words. Okay,
that.
granted, they were translated because she was talking to her a Somali crowd. However, I'm questioning, her, and maybe this is an extreme example, but
Yeah,
I'm
well,
questioning where's the loyalty.
we could go to extremes, and I know that Hamilton has said some really crazy things as well as Ingrid, but does that mean that every Democrat? Look, if you want excuses for something, I can find it, and that's a great excuse. But is that something that, at the end of the day, she lives in a highly populated Seminole County, so that's district, so that's not going to have any penalty. It's just being able to use it against another human being. It's the same. Like I was surprised that all these Democrats were watching last night's election in Georgia 14. Fuck, that's
Yes.
a Republican district. He was going to win. That was I surprised that the other guy was that close? Yes, I was. But this, but at the end of the day, there was no cigar. Look,
Yeah.
you're discouraging people from running as much as you can. You're making a requirement that makes no freaking sense. Who's your loyalty to? At the end of the day, you defend the Constitution. Donald Trump's loyalty, do you know to whom it is? To the
To
U.S.
America.
dollar.
Yeah,
No, to
I
the
knew
U.S.
that was
dollar.
coming. I walked into that one.
To the U.S. dollar. He does. Look, if he can make a dollar, he's happy. Okay, that's all he cares about. He
Right.
does not care about anything else. Look, the truth of the matter is, Look, we have problems with Medicare in the state. We have problems in the state with flooding. We have problems with home insurance skyrocketing. We have problems with even Republicans say we have problems with crime. We have problems right now with people not being able to buy food. We have another problem, but the one that we're addressing here is if you have dual citizenship.
Mhm.
That is my problem with the legislature. You know what the problem we have right now? We have a SAVE Act. Very
Okay.
good. What does the state not have right now?
A budget.
Bingo! Can you tell me, in your honest opinion, which is more important, a SAVE Act or a budget?
At this moment, it would be a budget.
At any moment. Look, we don't have fraud in our elections. Period. Florida. I'm not talking nationally. We're talking Florida. Florida, I think we had 4 people who voted who were convicted felons. Whoopee! And you want to know something?
Mhm.
You were all white male. You just lost 4 Republican votes. Sorry.
Ouch.
You know,
Zing. Got
they
you
were not
funny.
Hispanics. They were not black. They were not. They were 4 white males who were convicted felons who should have not voted, who
Right.
filled out their form saying that they were not convicted felons. Okay, fine. I understand that. Four, four. We need a SAVE Act. Why? Well, we've always had paper ballots. 2016, you and I were in front of the supervisor election here in Orange County. And you know that the committee was going ballot by ballot, looking at them. The paper ballot. We've had it. You voted in this state, so have I. Every time I vote, I take out my driver's license.
Yeah.
That has been the law since 2000. So the only thing that I see new in this is that I have to declare if I have dual citizenship, because that is a national risk of some type.
As a
Really?
candidate, as a candidate.
As a candidate, that's enough. But let's say I'm in South Florida, in Brevard County, and I say I'm an American citizen and also a citizen of Israel. That might be a plus.
They would target you as for to vote. Yes.
Okay, so I, with all the problems that we have here, DeSantis and the House and Senate of the state of Florida have deceived the people. They have lied to the people, and they have not done their job. We
Mhm.
have not dealt with home insurance policy. We have not dealt really with car insurance policy that
Insurance. Yeah.
needs also to be fixed. You could drive in the state still with 10/20, 10
Mhm.
per 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 person, 20 per accident. That doesn't cover hospital bills. Sorry, but you still could drive with that. Fine.
Sure.
Uh, you still have problems here with people driving cars on the streets of Florida that shouldn't be on there because we took away inspections. And we, as a state, require some type of inspection. We don't. We don't care. You could put a jalopy out there. We don't care. Uh, we have problems with our environment. We're not dealing with that. We have problems with our education system. Right now, we're
Yes.
closing schools left and right because we have problems with our education. Nothing has been dealt with. Okay? DeSantis has been the most irresponsible and racist governor the state has had since the 1800s. And
Mm.
that's a lot to say.
Wow, Jim.
And that's a lot to say. So, the SAVE Act, I think, is a disgrace. I am going to jump the Disney lawsuit because I want to see down the line how that goes. But I'm dying to hear my viewers' comments.
Yes. Yes.
Negative it could be. I mean, how positive they can be.
Well, we had a short that was published, and the title was "Did the Iran Strike Make America Safer?" A straight answer by you. And what the comments to that statement was, first one was Michael Hyman. He says 9/11, really? And I guess you equated 9/11 with um, what is happening in Iran. And
No,
then,
what I was trying to say, and I explained a few minutes ago.
yeah,
Mike, if you didn't get it, look. First of all, there's two things I was trying to explain. First, 9/11 was a retribution from that group for our involvement in Saudi Arabia and in Afghanistan. Okay, that's why they. By the way, for those of you who do not know, that group of people from Saudi Arabia hates us, and that was not the first time they tried to take the Twin Towers. That was the second time. For those of you who don't remember, that was the second time, and this time they took it down. This was enriched. But what I was trying to say, for those of you who didn't understand, we were attacked, and I understand why we went into war. Iran has not attacked us for me to justify say, hey, they attacked us. We had to take them down. They have not. Okay? As much as they've done horrible things, because they have. But to say that they attacked our mainland like the Saudis did in 9/11, that's what I'm trying. It's not that I'm equating them out. What I'm trying to say is you could justify a war when you're attacked. You cannot justify a war when you're not.
fair enough. Dick McClard says this whole video is BS from start to finish. Iran just proved that it could strike 12 other countries and disrupt energy supplies affecting the globe. Iran was then going to build longer range missiles and deadlier warheads to fulfill its promise to destroy the West. And this dumbass, excuse me, come on, Dick, come on. And this dumbass, whoever he is, thinks our efforts were not needed. That's from Dick McClard.
Dick, I respect your opinion, even though you don't respect mine.
Mhm.
Uh, let's clarify what you're saying, which is true. Iran, after it was attacked by the United States and Israel, attacked other countries. You are correct. But let's be correct about this too. Prior to that, Iran had all these missiles,
Mhm.
had not bombarded, uh, other than Israel, who, by the way, if we want to be technical, if we want to be correct, bombarded in more than one occasion Iran. Okay, we know that to be a fact. They took down the people, the people who were supposedly in charge of the nuclear weapon thing. They bombarded their apartments and stuff like that. We know that, and we know that they have been bombarding them on different occasions. That's
Right.
fine, and they, in retribution, bombarded them. That's fine. That's called war. Okay, but to say that one that we went to war because they attacked, no, no, they retributed. So get your facts straight, Dick. The other thing, look, there's no need to be name calling.
Exactly.
That's inappropriate. That's unprofessional. And that's kind of demeaning you. So I'm going to let it go at that. Who's next?
And this is our final comment. And I want to thank our viewers and listeners for their comments. Again, like Jimmy just said, be respectful and tactful because this is civil conversation and this is our form of civic engagement and this is our platform. So please respect Jimmy, respect the platform, and let's respect one another. This came from Jeff Gibson. Bullshit. 44 missiles fired at an aircraft carrier got our response. Time to start looking for white flags. Jeff Gibson.
Well, Jeff, you have a point. But we didn't get the white flags. Just like if they had bombarders with 45 missiles, we would not be putting out a white flag either. It's
Mhm.
called pride. And we took out some of their things, but obviously not enough because they were able to attack, like Dick said. I mean, take Dick as an example. They threw things against the other countries, who, by the way, this is the interesting thing that they're mentioning the Middle West where we have failed. When they threw missiles against Israel, we intercepted them and took them down. When they threw missiles against Iran, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia, we did not help them at all.
Right.
We did not intercept. We just let those go through and happen whatever happened. As a matter of fact, that's how some of our soldiers died that were in Saudi Arabia. That's who they were trying to attack. You try to kill their soldiers, so they were trying to kill ours. Okay,
Right.
I know some of you think, well, that's not okay. That's fine, fair. The truth of the matter is, there's no white flags. The idea that the people were going to come up and revolt against the powers didn't happen. The thing that we're going to take out their leaders and everything was going to be better, they've been replaced by people who are more stubborn, people who are worse than the ones that we took out, people who now want revenge, like the new Ayatollah, whose father, wife, and two children were killed by one of our bombs. Okay? Uh, let's call it as it is. And so he's not exactly Mr. Friendly towards us, nor is he going to put the white flags. See, that is what Netanyahu told our president: bombard and they will surrender immediately.
Right.
Well, to repeat the words of that great influencer, Mr. Marco Rubio, bullshit. Look, this is the way I would like to answer your question. You know who thought this was bullshit and they were not going to surrender and this was not going to fix the problem? The military advisor who was there, Marco Rubio, JD Vance, thought it was a bad idea. Now, I know you people follow Trump and everybody who's behind him you think are idiots. And I understand that. And I do. I really do. But in fairness, don't attack me for saying the same things that Marco Rubio said, that JD Vance said, that the general said. And for the record, Joe Kent, who quit saying, I'm out of here because this is the influence of the people of Israel who are putting us up into this war. And everybody said, no, he's anti-Semite, he's anti-this. No. Let's clarify this. The article came out Wednesday. JD Vance has not said that what he said in that meeting was a lie. He hasn't said it.
Yeah.
Marco Rubio has not said that he didn't say bullshit. Okay. The general said, yes, I did tell him to take it with a grain of salt what the people of Israel said. And even Wiles has said, I did say I don't get involved in wars. So people, it's not that I'm making this up or that I'm inventing it, because it's like, well, where's this bullshit coming from? I like to deal with facts. And the fact is that there is a meeting that was reported, and this is where it becomes interesting. There were 6 people in that meeting. I don't think Netanyahu was the one who put it out. Doesn't make any sense. Trump, maybe, because sometimes he talks without thinking. He has no filter. He just lets things ripe and then regrets what he said, or maybe doesn't. It was either the general, which I doubt because they're more committed to seriousness. It was either Marcos, Wiles, or JD Vance.
Okay.
And I agree with David. I think it was JD Vance because this is the way he will show as a MAGA people. I'm a true MAGA. I was against the war. I was against everything else. And we need to stick together and get this resolved. So, yeah, it's a fact.
Wow. Well, thank you, Jimmy. Thank you to our commenters on Facebook for their
And I'm going
comments.
to do you all a favor. This week, I'm going to leave the Republicans and the Democrats out as to the fuck up of the week. But I do have one thing that I would like to bring up.
Yes, sir.
People of the United States, you've been played major league to a certain degree by both parties. Republicans try to pretend that they're one of yours, and there's not one working stiff in that group. They're all millionaires and billionaires who try to pretend that the other party is the elites when they are the elites, and you're falling for their thinking, saying, those other people don't care about you. I care about you, even though I am screwing your economy. I'm talking about taking away your health care. and I'm talking about how can I make money, but I care about you. The Republican Party, as it is structured right now, and the leadership under Donald J. Trump, is the elites that you've been trying to fight for over 40 years, and you've been duped. Democrats, you've been duped to believe that Donald Trump is your problem. He is your problem, but it's also the division in this country. I've been insulted because I have a point of view, not that I've even been told these are the true facts or these are the facts. And I can live with that. But that is the real problem we have in this country. We don't listen to each other. We argue with each other. And if you're a ultra right person, the Democrats are all evil and they eat children. And if you're a left to the spectrum, the Republicans are all out to take away your liberty and your democracy. People, this country is only going to be great again when we work together again. As long as we're split, we're never going to be a great country. We're going to be a split country. A split country cannot be a great country. So with that in mind, I'm going to let you go back to your things and remember, the government's not your enemy. It is the elected officials who are corrupt, your enemy, and those who play on you to divide us. With that, I would ask you to subscribe, comment, tell me if you like or dislike it, and I will see you next week. With that in mind, be careful and try to be safe. Take care.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank
Another
you.
great episode. Take care. Have a good weekend.
You too. I'll see you Saturday.
Sounds good.
Okay.